significant difference for our people. And as far as knowing anything about anything, folks, sorry, but the more you figure out these things, the more you realize you don't know anything yet, right? So every day is a learning experience. Every day we learn a little bit more. Every day we're trying to get on top of it a little bit more. But the thing that we have so much fun doing at HS is just simply trying to lessen the fear of large medical billings, trying to lessen the frustration that goes with those billings. And thirdly, I just thought of this word lately, the fear, the frustration, and, don't laugh, but the fiddlesticks that go with medical billings. Is it okay if I use that word tonight? There's a lot of fiddlesticks going on out there, folks. When a provider charges you $300,000 and then says, oh, by the way, I'll give you 90% discount. So that'll be 30. You think, well, that's good. But when you figure out that the bill ought to be less than 10, it's like, where are we going with this? So those are the kinds of things that we have a team that is working diligently every day trying to figure these things out on behalf of our communities. So we're excited about doing that. It's not exactly easy work, but it's rewarding work. It's the kind of work that I think is really need amongst our people. And I just have to think about that little verse in 2 Timothy where he says us that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but he's given us a spirit of power and of love and of a sound mind. I think that is what our God wants for us as his people. And it's our privilege and honor to try to work alongside our people to help accomplish this a little bit more. So I think tonight we come to you with a simple word, and that is, I think it's important for our communities to know that there are indeed good, solid answers for the medical dilemmas, for the cost dilemmas, for the frustrations that are so prevalent in our provider systems, and it doesn't really need to be that complicated. There are answers for these things, and so tonight we want to talk about that a little bit, and we just like to just do a quick run through the program of AHS, and we'd like for you all to just please remember your questions. I hope most of you have a guideline in your hand, one of these papers in your hands, and hopefully we can refer to some of these pages as we go along with the slides. And maybe just a very quick introduction to the story of AHS. To me, as having been a part of this 10 years ago when we started this project, it felt to me like kind of a strange, well, how many of you like miracles? You like miracles? Well, there's only one way you can have a miracle, and that's if you have a problem, right? So we did have a problem. We had a couple of problems. One problem we had was that the ACA or Obamacare, it had already been in progress for about 5 years, but it was starting to really tighten its grip year by year. And about 10 years ago, it kind of sunk its teeth into the way that our communities were used to doing medical sharing, and especially the larger mission units like voluntary service units like Mountain View, Faith Mission, Christian Light Publications, and all these sorts of places, AMA. So we were trying to figure out what are we going to do with this. And it so happened that right at that time, a couple of other things were happening. Tyler, our second son, is an attorney, and he had been working for a Christian attorney who had him working on the Obamacare-related projects, and especially healthcare sharing ministries. And so Tyler was he was kind of like cutting his law teeth, I guess you would say, on healthcare sharing projects. So we at Mountain View said, Tyler, come over here. We need some help. Help us figure this out. And so Tyler came over and we sat around the table with our leadership team, and we decided that we would why don't we see if we can't commission Tyler. He was also working for Anabaptist Financial about that time. Why don't we commission Tyler to see if he can't start a new HCSM, Healthcare Sharing Ministry program, for this purpose, for our ministries in particular, the missions among us. And our board agreed to that and put down some seed money for it, and AF agreed to it as well. And so we got that part going, but then of course the other part was who's gonna run this place? Who's gonna do this? And so after about 30 years at Mountain View, I was in process of transitioning out. So everybody kind of looked around the table and they said, well, Eldon, I guess you're it, that's you. So anyway, then I didn't have to wonder any longer what I was gonna be doing. And anyway, so those several things kind of lined up at one time, one place, and as I say, the rest is history. So that's been about 10 years ago. I started out just in our garage top, and pretty soon we had Brother Ivan Beachy from Faith Mission Home doing some of our accounting for us. And then we got a full-time accountant, and we got some other full-time persons in there. And thankfully, I'm not alone anymore. We've got about 20 people on staff now. And so that's kind of the short version of the last 10 years, okay? So today, we're still growing fairly rapidly. There's such a need out there, it seems like, and for a while we were kind of slowing down our membership, new memberships, because we didn't quite feel like we were quite on top of it in terms of we didn't quite have enough staff, enough space. If you would see the little White House that we had 15 people in, you'd probably chuckle a bit. But anyway, we had them we had them in the attic and we had them in the basement kind of thing, okay? But the Lord is providing for us. We're building some more office space as we speak that can hold quite a few more people, so we're really excited about that. So in short, we're here tonight, happy to tell you that we feel like we're in a better place than we were a couple years ago, and feel like our systems are in much better condition, and we have a well-trained staff, and we feel good about that part. So let's just quickly go through these slides, and I think the request is that you would save your questions mostly toward the end. They're trying to do this in a way that it can be recorded, and then you can have your mic at the end and do your questions. So please remember your questions. We'd love to answer them for you the best we can. So we are going to just note that the mission of AHS is to facilitate healthcare sharing for the Anabaptist community. You can read these slides faster than I can say them. I will try to repeat at least some part of them. So one thing that we realize, there's a lot of complexities, medical needs, provider billings, regulatory issues. These sorts of things are challenging. I don't need to tell you this. You already know that. Hopefully, sometime this great land will figure out how to provide a medical system that is simple, that is easy to understand, that the average person can pay for, and these types of things. But until then, we'll have to struggle together to figure it out, I guess, because the insurance operations that are out there, hopelessly entangled with the hospital systems and Medicare and Medicaid and all these things, they've created a system that is very interesting to try to deal with. Not impossible, but certainly it has its challenges. Just a quick word about the core values of ownership. God owns AHS. AHS is a 501c3 not-for-profit. It's not owned by any one person. It's a program for our entire community, and we feel like we are simply the stewards of that program. We value the trait of empathy a lot. We try hard not to go into like a stuck record mode on the phone and these types of things. We try to maintain that sense of actually listening and hearing and caring for our community. The other two words we have is simply integrity and excellence. Why does health sharing work? When everyone consistently contributes a modest monthly budgeted amount, it becomes possible to pay for medical needs within the group without hardship. To us, it's been very interesting to note how consistently this works. An established monthly amount over time. This month I don't need it, but you do. And it's amazing how that comes out. When an experienced bill management team handles all medical bills, it assures that bills are paid at a reasonable rate. And I would simply suggest tonight, I feel like our bill management team is what makes AHS work. Without them, we wouldn't have a program. We feel it's very important that an experienced bill management team handles every significant bill, because there are many, many, many strange twists and turns and curves that go into billings. And we find it's important for us to have every bill reviewed by an experienced person. It's interesting how often you can get even maybe, you might get a bill in the mail that says $600. Say, well, okay, $600, let's just pay it and get on with life. But it's surprising how many times, even for a small bill, you call in and say, okay, I'd like to do a cash pay rate here, and I'll pay it on the phone now if you tell me what it is. And they'll say, well, that'll be $300. And if you wouldn't have called in and just paid it, you'd have paid $600. So it's just a small thing sometimes that a lot of people don't think about that make the difference. So thirdly, when members maintain the true spirit of health sharing, the program is about us rather than about me. You know, in an insurance world, it's easy to get into that mode. Okay, I'm paying money. I'm paying good money here. I'm going to get good money back, right? But in a health share mentality, it's about all of us. I'm making it possible. By my sharing, I'm making it possible that the people around me in my community are able to also have their needs met without hardship, without having to pull out exorbitant funds, without having to take up a lot of offerings, just simply consistently on a monthly basis, contributing your share makes it happen. So when the above is happening, true health sharing with heart becomes possible. Okay. So it also makes providing for our own and mutual aid sharing possible. It takes the fear out of medical bills, utilizes an experienced bill management team with 10 years of successful medical sharing. Okay. So our current membership is about 12,000 persons. I'd say currently we're gaining about 15%, maybe 2,000 members a year, something like that. It seems like the need is still very, very great. One thing that our program has tried to do for a long time, from the beginning, I guess, really, is to maintain a certain reserve balance. Rather than being behind the 8 ball, always not quite enough funds to pay the bills. rather to maintain a reserve fund. The reserve fund is not to use for daily operating, but it's there in case there's any bumps in the road. If the government comes up with some bright ideas that shifts the balance of things, or if something else happens, there's funding there. If no funds would come in at all for 6 months, that we could clear out those funds in a good way, or the remaining bills in a good way, that we could make a good resolution. But all the same, it feels prudent to us to have a reserve fund because you can't really think about it too much, guys. You all know this. 12,000 souls, a lot of stuff can happen to 12,000 people, right? A lot of stuff can happen to your own little family, right? And so it just seems prudent to try to do that. Okay, so again, it's important to note that AHS is not insurance. We're not allowed to pretend to be insurance. We don't use insurance terms. We can't even claim your bills. We cannot even promise to pay your bills. They will always be your bills. They can't be ours. We're not insurance. We're not licensed as insurance. We're simply a healthcare sharing ministry trying to bear each other's burdens. We do manage your bills, and as you help us with your part of it, getting those bills back to us in a timely way and helping us work through those processes, but it's not insurance. Okay, so AHS is a healthcare sharing ministry recognized by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. We are a 501c3 public charity, nonprofit corporation, and ACA exemption. So AHS does medical cost sharing for churches, ministries, and individuals. Here's a few folks on our team. You may know a few of these folks. I'm not really going to go through all of them, but they're a great team. We love the team we have. They are just amazing troopers. We have so much fun there with all these folks. I would point out this slide in particular because these 8 people are the direct bill management folks. The guy up in the left top there, Kenny, he's a registered nurse, and he heads up this team of 8 persons. And the 2 ladies on the bottom right, Naomi and Lise, they are particularly involved in our maternity cases. We have probably, those ladies handle about 120 cases each, maternity cases right now as we speak, maybe 240 maternity cases that they are managing right now. So I looked this up here a while ago. I think about 60 or 65% of the souls in our program are age 29 and under. Now, I don't know how you all feel about that part, but I feel really good about that. Because when you get too many old guys like me in there, that kind of gives you a little heartburn, right? Especially if they don't have Medicare. But if they have Medicare, they're fine, of course. But anyway, I think that's just a fun statistic. All right, so in your guidelines, you will notice in the first page that there are 3 plans here. The catastrophic, standard, and complete. Those simply represent 3 levels of sharing, okay? Catastrophic being the lowest level, standard is kind of the in-between middle level, and then you have the complete plan, which is kind of the best plan, I guess you would say. And just to give you a quick introduction to this idea, you can take your time and look at these things, but if you would look down about it, right smack in the middle of that page, where it says program details, it says per incident ISA. Now, we use the term ISA. It's individual shared amount per case. We use that term instead of deductibles because deductible is an insurance term, so we don't use that. So we simply say ISA, that's your part. And so you see across there, read it's 5,000, 1,500, and 500. So whichever plan you're part of, the catastrophic plan, your part would be 5,000 per case, middle plan 1,500 per case, complete plan 500 per case. In other words, if you broke a leg, you'd pay $500, the program would pay the rest, all right? So just so you understand how that works. And then right below that, the next line might be the next significant line here is the catastrophic does have a sharing limit of 150,000. The standard plan has a limit of 500,000, and the complete plan is an unlimited sharing amount. So that's just a couple of important details, and you can see up above that the rates. The rates are kind of separated by Social Security exempt and non-exempt. So Social Security exempt has a little higher rate than the non-exempts, okay? So, and when it comes to, when it says family rates, the family rates are basically mom one, dad one, and children are $75, okay? Mom is one individual rate, dad is an individual rate, and then the children are plus 75. No matter if you have one child in the program or you have a dozen. So go ahead, have a dozen, no problem, it's the same, all right. So that's the basic rundown of how those plans work. And I'm going to, on slides here, just give you a couple more of these details so that you can just, again, understand this. So I'm going with the standard plan, that's the middle plan. I think most of our people, up to now, I think the standard plan has been kind of the most used plan, but the complete plan is also very, very popular. A lot of people do the complete plan. The standard plan is the mid-level sharing. It's 1,500 ISA, 500 sharing limit per case. Maternity is included. Pre-existing conditions after 12 months. And it does also an end-of-life sharing. On the bottom of that page, someplace, we do an end-of-life sharing. Yes, it is, I guess, the last line there, of $3,000. If someone who's a member of the program passes away, we do make a $3,000 contribution to the family for expenses. So next is the complete plan. It's very similar, besides it's just got a few different numbers. $500 ISA per case, no cap. Maternity is included. Again, end-of-life sharing. And it's a little bit more. This $135 amount is the group rate. If you look closely, you will see that the group rate is about $10 to $15 less than the non-group rate. It's not a lot of difference, but it's a little bit of difference. So we'll talk about that a little bit more as well. So catastrophic plan, to be honest, we don't exactly even encourage a catastrophic plan a lot, but you know, we all like choices, right? I could have taken the cheap one, but I didn't want to, okay, so I'll take this one. You know, we kind of like our path of being able to choose what we're doing. The catastrophic plan, it can work, but it has a $5,000 per incident ISA. And our request is simply this, that if you do choose a catastrophic plan, make certain that you have that $5,000 in the bank someplace sitting there so that when you need it, it's going to be there. Because we don't want to hear, oh, sorry, I don't have the money, can't pay it. Please don't choose that one if that's where you are, okay? All right. Okay, we got group rates. So here's a little bit more about the group rates. So it takes 20 units or more, and the unit is simply husband one, wife one, the children as a group are one. So a family would make 3 units, okay? that is 17 and under. So if they turn 18, then they're one also, okay? To have the group rate, to get that 10% discount, you do need to have a group-appointed rep, a church-appointed rep. A group monthly contribution is made with one check. Okay, let's just go back there and talk about that a little bit, if I can get myself back there. So my understanding is that you all right now have a group representative, and it's a little bit different the way different sharing programs manage groups and the group representative responsibilities. Basically, what we do at HS for a group and a group representative, again, Anabaptist HealthShare manages all the bills. So if one of your members breaks a leg, you don't necessarily need to talk to your group rep. It's best if you just simply pick up the phone and call AHS and let them know what's going on, and they'll assign a case. A patient advocate would take up your case. Your case would be assigned to one of those 8 people that you just saw up there, and they would have your case, and whenever you've got anything to do with that, the follow-up visits and all these sorts of things, you just call in, ask for that person, and they'll work you right through it, okay? And then at the end of the whole story, you don't pay anything until they tell you, okay, we got this case settled, you can pay your $500, okay? So that's all you need to do. So it does take the burden off the rep in this regard. You work directly with our patient advocates. You can, of course, communicate with your rep. By all means, keep that line of communication open, but he is not going to be needing to actually deal with those bills as such. So that's the advantage of having a group in this regard, that you can also then simply collect those funds as a church group, and your rep would then cut a single check for us. That's the main thing that he would become involved with, is collecting the funds, okay? What that does for us is it saves us from having to collect 50 different payments. We get one payment, and it saves the program from having to pay the credit card fee. So some people like that idea of saving that $10, $15 a month per unit. And some people say, well, maybe it's not worth the bother. So we're willing to go either way on this. You can, as an individual, sign up today. You can go online and sign up today if you want to. But you're also very welcome to collectively form a 20-unit or more group, if you like. And in the long run, the group idea does save you considerably if you think about it. $10 per person times 12 is $120 a year, $240 for a couple. So it can be significant as well. But we're willing to do that either way, however works best for you as a community here. So again, it saves the program some funds and some distraction. If somebody of your membership doesn't feel like paying, you get to figure out why that is instead of us. So anyway, but then again, sometimes the churches say, we'd rather you be the bad guys. So we'll do it either way, okay? If we're the bad guys, you don't pay, you're not a member, okay? That's just how we work it. Okay, because there's no free lunch, guys. We all know that, right? But we all have, sometimes we get caught in these places. All right, so let's just quickly go on here. The 7 pillars, you'll see that on the second page inside there. This is sort of the page we refer to as in a nutshell. If you want to know what to do, how we do things, this is the nutshell right here. So the first one is simply pre-authorization. Pre-authorization, it's required for any appointments that are above the ISA. Like if it's something small, you just go to the doctor for a doctor visit, and it's $100, no problem. That's fine, because it's not going to be shareable anyway, unless it turns out to be, well, maybe the doctor's, whoops, you're almost dying, you had better go to a specialist. Then you go to the next place and the next place. So then you can roll all that together, of course. That $100 can go with the specialist, can go with the next place, so you can roll that together. But if it stops there at the $100, of course, that's it. It's under the ISA, so you don't have to tell us about that. But if it's going to be a bigger case, then just please call the AHS number, let them know what's going to happen, and they can work you through that. Now, number 2 says in an emergency, please get prompt attention. We prefer like Med Expresses or urgent care rather than an ER if the situation warrants that, okay? Now, if it's in a bad situation, you're having a heart attack or something like that, please go to the ER direct. We had a guy calling here recently, and he was like, well, he wants to talk to Ernie. And we said, okay, well, we'll get him over to Ernie. And after a while, Ernie calls back to the main office, and he's like, hey, guys, your man, he had gotten his finger in a saw or something, and he was wanting to know whether he could go to the ER, what he should be doing here. I'm like, oh, dear. Please do go. Don't talk to us about it. Go take care of whatever needs to be done, and then come talk to us later. Okay, so it's all a learning process, I guess, folks. But anyway, number 3 says self-pay or uninsured is the way to report to any medical provider. Sharing group is not insurance. So please don't mention AHS, because doing so confuses providers and makes bill management more difficult. Have all bills sent to your address. Once you receive them, submit them to AHS for processing. So this is sort of a confusing point to some people. They say, well, no, we have AHS. No, you don't have us. The bills will never be ours. They will always be yours. Okay, we can make no guarantee of payment. We're not insurance. We're not registered insurance. The insurance commissioner would not be happy with us if we'd start talking like that, okay? They will always be your bills. So you are truly self-pay and you're truly uninsured. But the strength of mutual aid is an amazing thing, guys. It really, really is. And it's so much fun to be able to make this possible for our communities, because it really, really does work. So again, number 4, unpaid is how you submit medical bills to AHS. Do not pay any bill yourself that you plan to turn in for sharing. Do not pay the bill. We don't let you pay the bill. Is that okay with you all? We don't want you to pay the bill. You may not pay the bill. If we're going to take care of it, we must take care of it, okay? It's the only way this program works. It's why this program works, is because we pay the bills, okay? All right. So we got number 5 coming up here. It's stewardship of resources is achieved by not paying bills above what is required by the hospitals. And again, we find there's a lot of confusion in our community about these sorts of things. We want to pay our bills. We should want to pay our bills. But what is the right rate to pay the bills? There's a lot of confusion about that. But that is why our team takes such a hard effort to try to understand what is the right price to be paying. And I guess the important line there, number 5, if you're reading along in your book, in the guidelines, the underlying part of number 5 says all AHS members agree to cooperate fully with the AHS team as they work with the hospital's procedures in finding the bottom line. So we really beg our membership, we require our membership, please cooperate with us. every once in a while, we find some members, they're not used to cooperating with the hospital. They'd rather go to some other track. We really need for our members to cooperate with the hospitals. The hospitals have a certain procedure they want you to go through, 1, 2, 3 step. And that is the policy of HS, is to use the best path to the bottom line that the hospital provides. Not another path that we provide, but the path that the hospital has already preset for this bill to take. It needs to go through that process, okay? And we need our membership to help us with that. Okay. And yet we have a genuine spirit of sharing, and patience is needed when dealing with the medical system and with AHS. Sometimes bills don't go through as fast as you would have wanted them to, or we would have wanted them to. For some strange reason, every once in a while, a bill gets stuck. And for whatever reason, the hospital doesn't seem to be worried about their money, and they won't even want to talk to us about getting their money. And it's just a strange phenomena out there that if anybody would be trying to do business this way, I don't know how you would survive. But hospitals, it seems like many times the people that are working in the billing department, they've got no skin in the game. And it's like, oh, well, whatever. Somehow we don't really feel like talking about today, or, we can't really do anything about it. The only answer I can give is no. So, see you later, that type of thing. It's amazing how hospitals do. It just doesn't make any sense to us, or to you, right? Doesn't make any sense. How do you do business like this? But that's how they do so many times. Okay, we're just going to talk very quickly here about some pre-existing conditions here yet, and a few other things. Most pre-existing conditions are shareable after a 12-month wait period. So sometimes it's a little interesting if you are changing from one program to the next. Okay, and it's this way if you're dealing with insurance or whatever program you're dealing with. Pre-existing conditions are just kind of an onerous sort of thing. Can be. They don't have to be, but they can be. It's important that you think about them. Is there anything that a pre-existing thing would be something that you are now having to deal with? Right now, you're maybe in the hospital, not in the hospital, but you're doing doctor treatment, or maybe your leg is not working that great, and you already know that it's about time for a knee replacement, or something like that. That's falls in the pre-existing category. So it doesn't mean it's not shareable, but it means that there is a 12-month wait period. And I think you all understand this very easily, that if AHS or any sharing program or any insurance would accept all the people who need an operation tomorrow, if you would accept all those people and share those operations, it would be a very, very sick program, right? It would not be a sustainable program at all. So there needs to be some thoughtfulness about this. Doesn't mean there's not a path through it. There is a path, but there needs to be some thoughtfulness. And sometimes if you're in the middle of something, it's better to maybe stay with that program for a little bit until that's taken care of. But there are definitely paths through this, but we just need to be thoughtful about it. The standard plan does allow $10,000 per year per person towards pre-existing conditions. The complete plan allows $15,000 per year per person for pre-existings, and those numbers are given over on page 4 if you want to read the fine print a little bit later. AHS will always manage bills for members even if they are non-shareable events. So sometimes all we see is the $500,000 bill that hit us, and we don't realize that no person ever expected or required to pay $500,000. So don't panic about those numbers. AHS will manage those bills for you and help you find a resolution, okay? Even if it doesn't happen to be a shareable bill for some reason. Okay, there are some exclusions that we have on the front end coming in, but once you're in the program, there's basically no exclusions, okay? Once you're in the program, and it happens when you're in the program, you're in, okay? But it's more the coming into the program is where there are some limitations. So some things like diabetes, heart conditions, genetic conditions, cancers. Now, I should mention cancers. If there is a 10-year, it's a 10-year look back for cancers. After 10 years of cancer-free, there is a possibility of sharing cancer. Cancer is kind of a thing of its own that kind of deserves a bit more conversation if you have further questions about that. A few miscellaneous items here. Auto-related injuries, we have simply put $5,000 on auto-related injuries. I don't know how your community here is, how your state is here exactly, but at least in some cases, you can carry a $5,000 medical rider on your insurance. We encourage you to do that. You don't have to do that, but whatever the case, it's going to be a $5,000 ISA for an auto-related injury if it's your fault and the other party is not paying your bills. Say you run into a tree all by yourself. It's your fault. Nobody run you into it. That would be your bill to pay. That would be a $5,000 ISA on that bill. Hopefully, you would have that medical rider in your auto insurance. We do have a little thing called the workers' aid plan. It's kind of an add-on, and it is required for job-related injuries to be shared. Now, if you're working for a large employer, he probably is going to have workers' comp for you. But if, let's just say, you're a 1099 employee, or you're a percentage owner, or you're self-employed, or something like this, if you want an on-the-clock injury shared, you would need to do this little workers' aid plan add-on. And I think I've got another slide about that one here in a little bit. Mental illness will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Harmful life choices are excluded. Alcohol, tobacco, these sorts of things. Treatment of Lyme disease, we have kind of our own carve-out for Lyme disease. In the East, we have a lot of Lyme problem, and so it seems like Lyme is the kind of thing where probably 80 or 90% of people really respond well to it, to treatment, but then there's a few percentages that don't, and it seems like those folks are left to fend for themselves in a lot of ways. So we've kind of carved out, even though alternative natural remedies are not normally shared in the program, we have carved out a little thing for Lyme disease, where we actually share up to $4,000 per year for up to 3 years. You can go anywhere you want to go. You can use it towards natural remedies, whatever you want to use it for, up to $4,000 annually, up to 3 years. Simply because of the difficulty that Lyme has really left in our communities. Medical treatment in Mexico is typically not shared. An exception is made for cancer treatment. The standard plan has a 20,000 cap, complete plan a 30,000 cap. Again, we'll talk more about that with you if you have more questions. Mexico, it's not that we're against, again, please understand, we're not against alternative natural remedies. We're not against Mexico, but some of these treatment venues present some unusually challenging aspects. Mexico, in particular, is one that, well, let's just say there's a lot of different challenges that come with it. We're not here to tell you that it's not okay to go to Mexico, but you are going to drop a huge amount of cash if you go to Mexico, and you will likely go again and again. It's just kind of typical for Mexico, and we just feel like it's not really compatible with a sharing program. So here's Medicare members 65 years and older. Anybody here 65 and older? We got a couple of them. Okay, great. Welcome to the team, folks. So the way we deal with Medicare, as you all know, you couple men here know, there's, oh wow, the Advantage programs and supplemental programs and all these sorts of things that come along with Medicare. You're certainly welcome to use those programs in whatever way you would like, but if you would like to be part of the sharing program, we simply have it's kind of a half rate. If you have Medicare A and B, you can, for about a half rate, it's kind of like the Medicare supplement. Like whatever Medicare does not pick up, you could talk to the HS about that. So the program works exactly the same way as the rest of the program in here does, only you just have to pay $50 a month instead of the full rate, or $75 depending which plan you're on. So then it's kind of works as it's picking up that part that Medicare does not. Okay, pharmaceuticals also can be shared. We encourage the idea of doing Medicare Part D. You can, I don't know if you have D or not, but D, you can get a D plan for like 10, 15 bucks a month. We kind of encourage that idea. Just have it in your bag so that in case you need it, you can change the plan. But if you don't get a D now, you're gonna get penalized for it on the way out. And again, we can talk more about that. Social Security exemptions. HS does accept Social Security exempt persons on a limited basis. There is an additional $25 per adult to the monthly contribution rate. HS requires that a Social Security exempt person join with an established group. So we also have one other caveat for 65 plus Social Security exempt persons. We no longer share at 100%. We share at 75-25, okay? Hopefully, the 15.3% Medicare Social Security taxes that you didn't pay are still somewhere, and you can utilize those towards the 25%, okay? Is that fair? That's how we look at it. Okay, here's the workers' aid plan a little bit more. Shares job-related injuries. It's $22 a month. It's about the cheapest you could soon find. A 2,000 per incident ISA, and it does pay time off of work for up to 8 weeks. The 2/3 normal compensation rate is, I think, on par with most workers' comp programs. Okay, that's it. I'm through. It's your turn.